the two Royal Rumbles that are the biggest kind of ones to sort of look at as a character study are 2014 and 2015. Because in 2014, as you mentioned earlier, Rey Mysterio at number 30 gets booed because everybody thinks it's Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
Because they desperately want him to win the Royal Rumble and go on to face the champion at WrestleMania. And he's instead in a match earlier with Bray Wyatt, so he's not in the match at all. As soon as Rey comes out as number 30, he's booed. Batista wins, who's supposed to be back as the big conquering Galaxy of the Guardian babyface. I mean, Galaxy, I don't think that had been out yet, but he'd filmed it. And he gets booed at the building. I mean, that was... Do you remember? What do you remember about that when you were watching it?
That was great. Like, I love stuff like that. It's because it's memorable. Like, I'd much rather something like that makes you care one way or the other. If you hate it, but you don't hate it. You hate the story that they're telling you. That's okay. It's at least it gets some emotion out of you. It's much better than just watching flat generic wrestling. You can watch. Not necessarily now, because actually they've done quite a good job in 2020 of making all the pay-per-views different, with the little gimmicks and stuff. But over the years, a lot of the B shows and such. Can you remember what happened at Backlash 2008, if that even exists? You know what I mean? Like, Capital Combat Carnage Punishment, like whatever.
Capital Punishment was when R-Truth main evented against John Cena.
Well, that is fairly memorable, but you know what I mean, though. There's a lot of these sort of throwaway shows where nothing happens of note, and there's nothing to really remember them by. Everyone who watched that 2014 Rumble will remember it. They remember the reaction, and then same again the next year.
Poor Rey Mysterio.
They weren't booing Rey; they were booing WWE.
No, but like poor Rey Mysterio. Do you mean he
gets it though?
But then, I mean, in Batista, because Batista had prior on not. What's the polite way to say this? Not being the best at handling, in what his mind was unfair fan criticism.
Yes, soft, thin-skinned.
That like you can look at him at the ECW arena. There's various examples, but he was just. But like he'd evolved to the point where he was like, I need to turn heel. Like there's no point.
But even he in the documentary about him coming back, which I think's on the network, He did talk about that. He said they wanted Daniel Bryan. They didn't want like he got it. He did understand. WWE didn't get it for a while.
They got it eventually. When they kind of like someone had to hold it up to them and go, look.
So yeah, there's that thing.
What do you think is because you were going to mention the next year, which is also important, right? So there's 2014 where Batista wins. There's 2015 where Roman wins, and I guess we could do a whole podcast on that one Rumble match. But like you've got Big Show and Kane, who are the authority carnies, who are like in there, or cronies, authority cronies, who are in there, and they're like placing Bray Wyatt and Dolph Ziggler on the floor like trash, all building to Roman Reigns winning, and the fans are booing more and more and more, and then The Rock comes out, and as he raises Roman Reigns' hand, he has no idea that people are about to boo his cousin at the building. What to you is... I think I know the answer. What's the more memorable Rumble? The Batista getting booed because they wanted Bryan, or Roman getting booed because they'd eliminated Bryan and then Rock coming out?
I think they're both pretty close, to be honest. I mean, the 2014 one was sort of the we don't like this, we want this. The entitled fan thing. And there's now platforms to ask for what you want, so they can, and they do, and that's fine. But then in 2015 it was more right. We've decided that Roman Reigns is the target of our hatred because he is the handpicked WWE guy. Now the problem was at the time, and it's often overlooked, the Authority was the lead heel faction, but the problem with the Authority was the main heels in it were the people who actually run the company. Or who are heavily involved in actually running the company. So, some fans, probably not fans watching this, but some fans can't make the distinction between real life person and on-screen heel, right? So when you've got Steph and Triple H being these awful, awful characters on TV, and I mean awful as heels, awful heel characters, then when people read that, WWE wants to push Roman Reigns, it's like, well, WWE's run by Steph and Triple H, and they want to push Roman Reigns, so we hate Roman Reigns. And now it's like, it is easier to make that like connection there, and I think that's partly what happened. But it's also because the Authority constantly was taking stuff away from fans, constantly. And that became WWE's constantly taking stuff away from fans because reality blended into the fiction with that as well. Like, they would use real life stuff that people wanted and take it away as characters. So then Roman Reigns became sort of an extension of that, and people turned on Roman Reigns like, no, if this is who you want, nope. It wouldn't have mattered who it was. If that was Seth Rollins, it would have been the same. You know, and it did become that last, 2 years ago now. When Rollins was babyface and they were pushing him and he was doing all those cringe-worthy babyface promos and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the fans turned on him. The Hell in a Cell thing, they turned on him because they hate the booking of that match so much. It's not Rollins' fault, but they turned on him because he's the ordained guy. So it wasn't really Roman. And, Rock should have expected it. Like, he's been through it himself. He's been through Die Rocky Die chants and Rocky sucks chants.
Do you think he knew though going into that was going to happen?
I don't think he knew going in.
The look on his face was just like he was not used to when he's now Dwayne Johnson, who everybody loves. So he was not used to being involved in something where it's not a good reaction.
I think he probably obviously he was well aware of what was going on when he was backstage listening to it. I think he probably expected when he went out that would turn them. Nothing was going to turn them.
If The Rock returning out of nowhere can't turn them.
It just came across as desperate, though. It was like WWE going, look, honestly, he's friends with The Rock. Because they tried it again with Bryan, didn't they? Like, got Daniel Bryan to endorse him after Roman, after he beat him and stuff. And it was like, no, we don't want this. Doesn't matter what you tell us or give us or how you present it. We've said no now. So it wouldn't have mattered. But, hey, now he's the best character in wrestling, so...